Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back with my in-studio guest, Greg Paris, who's the president of the Concerned Catholics of Guam Incorporated, recently formed to look at the situation and the concerns of the church, and hopefully we'll bring it up to the leadership. Now, before we went on the break, Greg, I was talking about these two seminaries that we have here on Guam, and I was talking in the break about, I said, you know what, I mean, I would see now priests, supposedly priests, who maybe a year ago or so, I saw them in black. 2 months later, I see them wearing collars. 6 months later, they're being ordained as a deacon. Maybe a year later, they're being ordained as priests. And from my knowledge of having served as an altar server for a long time, that people who to study to be a priest was longer than what I'm seeing right now. I mean, unless it's changed, unless we have the microwave versions now of becoming a priest. But I'm saying, what kind of priests are we producing? And I don't see a long line of our folks, some of our boys and girls here that want to go into the vocation. I have been turned down from the Archbishop to go to off-island seminaries to not only become a priest, but to get a degree as well, to be degreed. You know, and so these two seminaries here in Guam, I'm baffled that we have two.
Yeah, and I think everybody else is too, because our understanding was that the Redemptus Mater Seminary in Zonia was started out to be a diocesan seminary, as was the practice here in Guam, and then only to find out later, after the faithful have donated a lot of time and effort and resources into that, only to find out that it's really a NCW and NEO seminary, and they want to keep it that way. Some of the things we've heard is that seminarians who wanted to study become diocesan priests were rejected by the Archbishop and basically told to go find another bishop, another seminary to to pursue their vocation and eventually priesthood. And so, you know, why is that the way it is? And why were people told in the beginning that yes, we have a diocesan seminary, and then now we're finding out that it's not?
Yeah. Now, I assume that, you know, like universities, that, I mean, of course, we talk highly about accreditation. We might lose this. We got to get the funding. We got to lose because we need to be accredited, because otherwise your credits won't transfer, and then your degree won't be worth anything. Right. Now, correct me if I'm mistaken here. Now, aren't seminaries the same way, that they have an accreditation, you know, process as well?
Yes, I understand that they do have some form of an accreditation process, and like you mentioned, like the universities and the community colleges, they have these independent organizations that come out and audit their curriculum, audit the teachers, the instructors, audit the programs, and to see if it complies with the established standards for universities and community colleges. I imagine that the same would be true for seminaries. No matter where, you know, seminaries of the Catholic Church, are they following a prescribed standard? Are they maintaining those? What's the qualification of the instructors? What's the quality of the instruction? The time to form, the formation time, is it like you said, it seems like instead of a 4 to 10-year program, and then we see our seminarians, I mean, our people that left Guam as seminarians come back as priests, you know, 8 to 10 years later. We're watching these new seminarians now, as you mentioned earlier, progress rapidly, and then you say, well, that's kind of a quick. Are they sure they're getting the required training? And then,
especially in the kind of world that we live in right now, you know, and the problems of course, what technology, what this new world has created, right? The problems that it's created as well. As much as it gives us an easier life, sometimes it creates a more hectic life.
And so that makes that particular seminary in Zonia suspect. You know, are they a genuine? Are they a bona fide seminary? And by whose standards?
Now we have the other seminary that was the former, I guess was it convent now up there?
The
in
old
Talfo?
Carmelite convent.
Carmelite,
Yes, in
convent.
Malolo.
Yeah. Now that's another seminary over there, right?
We understand that the Archbishop started that when the community started asking and say, why do we only have a neo seminary and where's our diocesan seminary? So did he just immediately start that, and then who's staffing it? Who's teaching there?
Who's paying for it? I mean, we're paying, right?
Well,
every time we
I
drop,
think
right?
both seminaries are being paid by the Archdiocese of Agana.
Which means
By
us.
all the parishioners.
Yeah.
And so, who's teaching there? Are they really following diocesan standards? We understand that it's the same people that teach at the neo seminary are teaching at this supposedly diocesan seminary. So those are the things that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah. And again, I go back to my question here, because as I understand, again, as all churches and bishops and archbishops, they're autonomous basically of Rome to a great degree. That how I mean, there's a standard that they got to adhere to, right? But how again do you know that the Archbishop, the leadership of the church, will listen to these concerns? He hasn't listened, or they had, not just he, but they haven't listened to this point. We followed an individual who went up there to I guess to try to get an audience with the Archbishop. As a result of that, now we are told, the media, we're told that we can't come up there. We have to make prior oral arrangements and things of that nature, and this is not this is private property and things of that nature. So, how do we know? I mean, you should get an audience, but how do you know that Greg and the organization will be able to do this? It hasn't at this point.
Well, we can only take a look at how the whatever is brought up there, how they've been handled, and so we could probably assume that it will be treated the same way. But if it does, if it is handled that way, it's not going to stop there.
Yeah.
We're going to continue and move forward. We're going to find out who's the next step, where's the next level. That do we go from the Archdiocese straight to Rome, or do we go to perhaps the nuncios, and then they convey the messages to Rome?
Yeah.
And hopefully seek resolution that way. But it just makes everything suspicious when now they're trying to not just block the press, but stop the press. I mean, that's one of their freedoms. Is freedom of speech through the press. And so now the Archbishop is stopping that. And so again, it makes you suspicious. Is there something that they don't want the public to know via the press? Is that why they're not responding to the questions? And so what's really going on up there?
My understanding is one of the visits that the Archbishop went to, the question was posed to him, and actually was posed by former Senator Tommy Tanaka in regards to the receiving of the body of Christ and all that, and how they're doing it. And the senator, and I'll preface it basically, had asked whether or not this is something that has changed, and whether it came down, I guess, from Rome and all this, and who gave the authority, and where is it that says we can do this? And my understanding is the Archbishop says, let me find out where it gives us the authority to do that.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah.
And Tom did a great job, asked some very straight, direct questions, and again, the Archbishop was uncertain. Now, if this is a practice that he's promoting, you would think that he'd be with certainty respond to those questions and said, yes, we got this from Rome. I'm clear about it. Here's the directive. But it's let me check.
Let me check what gives us the authority to do it.
Do we really have it, or maybe we don't have it? And
they'll get back to him. Yeah. I got to pay some bills here, Mr. Paris, and then we'll come back. And I think we only have time to say goodbye and Merry Christmas to everybody.